in
Hey,
the
Yeah,
dark,
just
dark.
yeah.
In the dark. In the dark. I shall tweet it out. Arf.
okay, he said you streaming? All right, I'm coming.
He said,
Oh, you on right now?
yeah.
Oh, okay, hold on.
It shouldn't be. It's not one of those tweets where I'm like, wait a minute.
I will defeat him one of these days. He will be defeated. It just won't be today.
Wait a goddamn second. Is this on? Did my app do this or did I do this? why does my Twitch page know my Twitter and Discord link? I never put that link in there. Or is it because I'm on my own thing?
Okay. All right, so I
Are you
made a
watching
new
me?
spot.
Spyware?
I think you
Hey!
might just put that there yourself.
Hey! Hey! I was listening today, Vince. What's up, Mikey? What's up, Zodiac? Hello? I was listening on Spotify today.
I make sure to stream that nigga entire fucking discography every day.
Yo, he's on, but he's finally on IG. That's all I've been waiting for. And I can finally put his shit on my pictures on IG.
Yeah. Wait.
I need that shit. Just waiting for a couple more people to come through and then we just talk about some things. I had an interesting day, so I didn't even want to say it's heavy. It's just maybe touchy, depending on the person. But I think I can navigate it well. I think I know what to do. Then everyone hated me. What's up, Abdel?
Bunga,
Chat.
bunga, hanga.
Try to give me a
Dang.
mid-ass double food. Ha, that's what you get. Dorito chip. How am I doing? I had a really good day. I had a really interesting day. So I'm like low-key excited to share some of the stuff. We'll talk about that a little bit later though.
When I saw him on the monorail, he looked at me like he never
You
knew
hate,
me.
don't
There
hate.
was no recognition
Hate's not
at
good
all.
for you. Just love.
Like I was some phantom who never
I
really
only have love in my heart. What's up, your life?
Yeah.
You say Cap? That's just insane. How y'all doing though?
It just can't. I am doing just. I'm okay.
Why did that? What's it?
What the? Yo,
Oh shit! Though. How about you, Mr. Benitez?
I slept a fuck ton today, like a ridiculous amount. Like I
Let's
think
go.
I went to my girlfriend's house, and I think I slept from like 2 to like 6,
Let's
Just-
go.
just dead. So
Mhm.
hey, I don't know. They just would come and go.
Landed a living stink.
At work right now, so nothing is gonna happen. Oh shit! I'm doing good. That's our laundry. Siren in your call. It's the Red Witch enthusiast. What's up, Sykes? How you doing? A couple of storytelling things I wanna start with, and then I'll get into like what happened with my day. That was interesting. Basically, I didn't know at the time, but apparently, it was just some dude's wife on my work. She was just there for some reason. That was his wife, but there was like a therapist psychologist at my work, and by chance I kind of like was speaking to her. She's in her 50s, and I picked the hell out of her brain. And I just learned a lot. Like I was like not working. I was listening to her talk and asking questions, and then answering questions and shit. It was interesting. It was dope. And then Later on in the day, I actually saw two of my homies that I hadn't seen in a long time. They on their biker gang shit. They on their front of arming gimmick because they be crows. They be crows. So they got their little fake biker gang shit. Like I went to the TFOA on it. And one of them used to be my best friend from like way back in the day, like kinder, like 2 years old, whipping my fucking Fisher Price car, and he had one too, and then that was it. That's all it took, the connection. So I hadn't seen them in a while. And my other guys, he's soccer players to play with, so it was nice to see them. Everyone's doing well, so just a good day, good vibes, vibrations, as the youth say. So yeah, but all right. The first thing I want is actually I'll start with your book club question. Do you want to ask it, Vince, or do you want me to?
You can ask him because the dog don't care about me. So
all right. I need y'all in the chat answer too, and we'll talk. But how do you guys feel about stories or narratives? It doesn't matter what medium. I don't care about the medium. That start with a flashback or is heavily reliant on flashbacks and backstories to explain events. I pick Simi. I pick you.
Me. Well, start with a flashback. I don't find heavily reliant on flashbacks. We good off that. Like, as then, I mean, everything has a formula, but once you get into the rhythm of, okay, this character about to die, flashback, here we go. Repeat type beat, that becomes numbing. And like, if every single like, okay, he about to get a fight, time for a flashback, I don't like it at all. Like, space out your flashback. Like, if you have a lot of backstory to tell and whatnot, they don't necessarily have to be a flashback. You could be through somebody else explaining or reading a passage or like the environment or whatever the fuck, but relying heavily on flashbacks, yeah, I'm not good on that. I don't think One Piece does that at all, by the way. See a lot of OP in the chat. I don't think One Piece does. I mean, there are flashbacks, yes, but reliant on them, no. And like, we don't always get them every single arc, at least not to my knowledge. So yeah, that's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I literally in the same camp with you in pure life. I don't care if you start with a flash. That's never gonna bother me. I don't care if you start the story with a flashback scene at all. But I don't like stories that rely too heavily on flashbacks. But I'm gonna add something. My biggest issue with the use of flashback and backstories from a personal standpoint, it's not necessarily it's a good or bad thing. It's just me. Is I think it's very easy to write a story. Not write a story. To kind of cover your ass with a lot of flashbacks and backstories, especially when you use it once a character is about to be done. So it's like, and here was his entire life's motivations right before he dies out of Bleach. Like, bro, what? What is that? Like, I don't like that because I don't think you give the reader a fair chance to kind of like interpret that on their own, maybe beforehand. And I think it's more interesting to know what's really motivating characters before they go out or as it's happening, as opposed to after the fact. And speaking on Kishimoto, I do think it's a kind of brilliant that he just left like multiple huge gaps in time. And at any time he needed the flashback, he could just fill it with bullshit. Now, I don't like that, but him and SIE do that a lot. And personally speaking, I don't think they do it well, but at the end of the day, a good flashback's a good flashback, no matter how much you're using it. But yeah, I'm not a fan of over relying on them. But if you start with one, there's not a problem with that.
Yeah, just like
right. Okay.
Oh, my fault. Go ahead, man.
No, go ahead. The dog barking anyway. Go ahead.
Because yeah, just like the whole, like, when you use the formula of the character's about to die, so here's a flashback, I am just super good off that. So there goes any sense of suspense or anticipation. It's just, okay, well, this nigga's about to die, so bye type beat. And it's, as you said, it's not organic. If I can naturally grow with the character and know what they doing and shit like that beforehand, and then they go, it's like, fuck. But if you just stay here and then right when they go on, they're like, okay, here was this nigga life from when he was born to now type beat. Is we good.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vince.
I was saying, so basically the discussion came from that some people didn't like, cause like in movies they do that a lot, but like movies a little bit different from like manga, I guess, from how some people don't like it as like a narrative technique, I guess, because the manga we're reading is just like they start with the present day and then the whole rest of the manga, in a way, is basically a flashback to how they got there.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to get more clarity on how
Like
that
My
works.
Hero
So
is the story of how Deku became
Yeah.
the #1 hero. This is all.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
all the past.
exactly.
Okay. That's different. That's
So how do you feel about that?
I don't have an issue with it at all.
I case by case. Because sometimes knowing the end result personally removes any kind of stake for me. Personally, it just depends though. It depends. Like sometimes the journey and the characters' journeys and interactions, subplots and stuff are interesting enough that even though I know how the central plot is gonna end, I'm still engaged. But there's a lot of times where I feel like the fact that I already have like the end point, or I know at some point we get to the scene, the final confrontation, everything else just feels like busy work. I'm trying to get there at this point. What's up, Coogan? I feel like almost doesn't count. I hear you. My stupid your image, by the way. Charlie Brown or Peanuts is literally my favorite cartoon, but it'll make sense later. We talk about the psychology stuff.
Can you give us some
Okay.
examples?
Young Vash.
Feel where y'all
What's up,
come
Sly?
from.
I mean, it's Sly. Wow, Sly vintage. Young Vash. But yeah, sorry. Did I cut someone off? Was I speaking?
Yeah.
No, you good.
Can you give us some examples of bad ones?
Me?
Yeah.
Let's think. Let me go through my fucking archives in my head. Okay, no, I could. Okay, so let's do. See, I want to use the way Vince kind of framed it though, where like the entire story is mostly working up to a point.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to find another example exactly like that, because I guess what I was really speaking about is stories aren't told in chronological order, like really at like your Monogatari's and stuff, where it's like, oh, we skipped to Hannah. I know how this ends. Well, the rest of this is just kind of busy work. But obviously, Nishio Ishin is such a good writer that I don't care. Everything is gold, so I'm trying to see all of it. I really can't think of it off the top of my head, to be honest. But I heard it's your favorite. Wait, what? Calvin Hobbes is wrong. Calvin Hobbes is wrong. Live streaming again? Did I stop? Did I stop streaming? I don't think I stopped. I just stopped on YouTube. It's been a lot. What are we discussing right now? We're discussing any story that starts. Wait. Vince, frame that again? I lost. I don't know.
My bad.
My Hero.
So any story that starts with just like, this is the way that how I became the greatest hero. Any story that starts from like the end of the manga and the whole rest of the manga is like the black. Or even if you want to think about kind of like the first arc of Berserk starts with like the Black Swordsman, and then the whole second arc is basically how we got to the Black Swordsman, and then the story continues from there.
I don't know. I really wish I could think of an example, but the best way for me to explain it with me, because of the person that I am, I'm very spoiler sensitive. So it's like sometimes giving me too much of the future, it can ruin my journey. Because I think some people are okay with that, but again, I think it's an execution thing. I can't see I like it or don't like it. I'll think of an if I think of an example in my head, I'll bring it up to me. Because I'm trying to rack my brain for a comic book that's like that, but I don't know. I could think of moments where a comic book, like a new arc started, and it's like the final confrontation, and it's like a week earlier. Like I could think of, but not the entire premise like that. I don't know why I can't think of any. So, yeah.
I think it is a technique that's used. That particular technique is used more in movies. It feels like than it is in manga mediums. But other than that,
I watch movies, so I'm trash. So I can't.
Yeah. So other than that, I was agreeing with an earlier point you made that I feel like a lot of I don't like when I feel like the mangaka is using flashbacks to shoehorn in information we should have had prior to the events that transpired. I don't like that as a technique. If flashbacks to try to gain some type of emotional connection to the reader, they don't always work, but more often than not, I don't have a problem with them because at the end of the day, it's still kind of like, do you like the character or not? But trying to use flashbacks to shoehorn information from like a sensei or something like that, those are like really, really big hit or miss. It's just like you could have just shown me them training beforehand, and I prefer that than you trying to go back and trying to push this down. It don't work the same way. I don't care anymore.
Mm-hmm. Let me read the chat real quick. Sorry, there's a lot of good comments. Calvin Oz. I heard it's my he said it's my favorite author Tagashi's birthday today. Hey, happy birthday, Tagashi. Get in the fucking lab and do some work. How do you feel about the climate spitter? In a few days, been feeling. Hey, give your story. Okay. What do you guys feel about Tower of God though? Because I don't know if I could. I think maybe I confused rely with frequency. I don't think you have to have a lot of flashbacks to rely on it. I think you just need to rely on it as a crutch. Like, I would say with Kubera, one thing I think Kurigan did a lot earlier was always use Lee's as like, oh, I don't remember. Like, I felt like she relied on that a lot early. I don't know if you feel the same way, Vince. It's a nitpick. It's a nitpick, but yeah.
I would say everybody kind of uses it differently. Like Tower of God, good example. Like, especially season 3 or a little bit later down the road, he's like, oh, Bam's looking back to like who taught him this or whatever. But it's just like for a lot, well, you and me probably would have preferred if we actually just saw the training first than him trying to fucking go back and tell us what he did. Because I don't feel like it hits the same with that. But yeah, with Kubera, it's just like, it's kind of vague if you want to say that's like reliant on flashback. But Kubera does have a lot of things where people have to go back in the past, or she has to recontextualize. And even AOT, I guess you could say in some degree, it's like we have to go back and see this from a different perspective. So it's just like, depending on the writer, of course, it could be really good. But I don't know if I would say it's something that I prefer in my writing. It just, like you said, case by case. Kind of depends on who does it.
Ain't Akame do that flashback shit?
Akame got killed?
Zodiac War is probably a good example. Jujuni Tyson.
Oh shit, yeah.
That's a really good example. Now I'm thinking about. I literally looked at my bookshelf, but
I
looked at my bookshelf. That's up there. That it depends. Hold on. I forgot to finish reading. It depends on what you want to rely. If you mean that the only quality portion of the stories are flashbacks, I don't think any exist. That's interesting. But I would say that with One Piece, a lot of people's favorite parts have been a lot of the sad flashbacks. But I don't think that's the best parts of the story. It's interesting. Speaking of movies, I gotta watch Nobody. Give me a synopsis. If Vince referring to the New JTK chapter or speaking in general, I think in general, but I haven't read the New JTK chapter. I know what happens. Black Clover.
Wait, he said the only quality parts of the story are flashback. No, I wouldn't say that.
No. I'm saying he's saying if I mean the only.
Oh no, I don't think anybody means that. I just mean like, is it a technique that's heavily relied upon for either or? Like I said, some writers use it to get their emotional connection to the readers, and some people use it to shoehorn information. So it's just kind of like, it's a thing that's multifaceted. Like, how do you feel for either one of those things? Like, I don't think like try to like have one particular thing that you're looking at for this question. Because like I said, the story we're reading, it starts from the end, basically, or almost the end of the manga. And then the whole rest of the story is like a flashback of how we got there. Or a retelling of how we got to those events between these characters.
I feel it. Black Clover, hey, so it turns out Asta was actually taught by this cool swordman prior to taking the Knight's exam. I don't remember shit about nothing about only Valkyrie dress by Noel. Boss Jesse made a video on the Hot Chai guy, the ranker. I mean, the ranker who stayed in the battlefield that trained Bam. I remember him. I think it's that guy. Bro, I just don't remember two times like that. I would argue like the essence of bravery. Actually, I really think that Karaka flashback with Hajin Sung is fucking awful. It just completely.
See, there's the one with Hajin Sung and Bam. There's the one with Hajin Sung
because
and Karaka.
Based on the perception of the narrative that it gave me, personally speaking, You could always argue that Ha Jin Sung definitely, to some degree, cared about Violi. I'll say Violi for now, but like, did Bam ever give me any inclination that he gave a fuck about this guy or FUG? Absolutely not. So once I get that flashback with him fucking caressing his cheek and fixing his color, that to me is like, really? You thought you could shoehorn this in there and make me feel something? No, SIU. You're a hack. That's not it.
He actually freaking disliked Jin Sung a lot because Jin Sung was literally holding his friends hostage. He literally said that he's going to kill everybody if he fucking reveals his identity to them and shit. So that was most definitely fucking true. But yeah, that's what we're talking about. Just think the end of season 2 onwards. All of them flashbacks, not good.
Actually, so I get what Glam said. Yeah. So when he said rely, he said when I hear the word rely used in this for this context, the path I go down is essentially asking, does the author use flashbacks that are good in order to make up for lackluster storytelling within the present day? Okay, that's completely different. So I hear you on that.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was just trying to tell. I was trying to clarify.
Why did he get that flashback sooner in season 2, the Chronicle one? There it is. If you had to sell Kubera to someone, how would you break it down? Can I get back to you on that when I finish the 3rd season? Can I get the whole scope? That'll help me. That'll help me because honestly, there was a time where I couldn't describe to somebody what the fuck Monogatari was about. Really, I'd be like, okay, like there's like these things, like the apparitions, and then you know, like now I could. All right, boom, bada bing. I know what to say. So let me think on that. But to me, the biggest selling point that I can always say about Kubera is I have not read a better written webtoon. Not one. So if you are a fan of good writing, having your patience rewarded, and seeing plot events from earlier come full circle and possibly become retextualized in a way that's brilliant, I would say give it a shot. But it's not. Yeah, it's not action oriented like that though. So if you're kind of like an action junkie, you kind of need some like fights and shit. It might take you a while. Cause trust me, there was a point where I felt like I was slogging a bit, but when it really hits its stride, it's just like a runaway train.
I'm glad that you and me basically feel the exact same way. Cause I basically say that to everybody too. The latter half of your statement, it's just like if you're a person that doesn't mind a manga. Or just a story starting slow, and your patience being rewarded. I think that's the best way to kind of describe it.
Yep. But all right. Any other things on that one? We can move on to the next one.
Yeah, we move on to the next one. I think that's good. We threw it out.
He said he talking right. A good webtoon impossible. Nah, it is. Kubera, I guess I gotta read it eventually. No way, it's false. Or urban legend that never happened. I'm happy. I'm so happy you're reading Kubera. Yeah, you and Kako being on my ass. It was made up by a writer. We got you. Nah, it's good. I will personally put my neck on the line and vouch for it. I think it's that good.
Ouch.
Let me see your next question now. Okay, so how do you feel about an author writing a story, telling you that the characters... You separated story and telling. That was my fault. How do you feel about an author writing a story telling you that the characters in society are not good and corrupt? So...
Okay, so to clarify a little bit more, this is the story we're reading. Basically, like, it's interesting because sometimes when I hear people like write summaries or like explain this to me, the word edgy comes out a lot. And I mean, I really could have just phrased this like, what do you consider edgy? But I feel like we already talked about that at some point. I think that's a part of the conversation. But like, this is stories like this story, your Shamos and stuff like that. Like, the author is basically already telling you that like, this is not a good person. This is not good people. This is not a good place to be. And they're writing this story from that perspective. So how do y'all feel about stuff like that? Because like usually that stuff that happens too often. So how do you feel about stuff like that happens in storytelling? Is it good? Is it refreshing? Like, how do you feel about that?
Pure life, to answer your question, if I like Castlevania, if you're talking about them games, to quote Simi, them games, yeah, I'm a big fan. You're talking about that mid-ass Netflix series. I am so good on it. I'm joking. It's not that bad. It's fine, but it's not the worst adaptation I've seen. But it's not the game, so I don't care. But I love stories like that. And and it bothers me that it's hard to tell a story like that in contemporary times because of how fucking soft and babyish we've gotten. Where it's like, I feel like sometimes someone sees a character and they go, "This character is horrible. They're abusive. Trigger warning. This and that and the third." And it's like, at what point did it occur to you that perhaps the author has a character like this to be like, "Don't be like this nigga." Just, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I don't really care how a lot of people have always felt about. I knew South Park had something important to say because back in Canada, right? As you're like going through like their grading system, in the I think is it ninth grade? In ninth grade, we have a test called EQAO, where you test your English, your math, reading comprehension, and all kinds of things. And one of the questions that I got when I did my test, I blew it out the water, by the way. I was like the top percentile, but that's like the one subject I'm good at. It was speaking about a South Park episode that had to do with ginger kids and how yes,
Didn't
right,
have no songs.
right, and we had to write about like like about it or whatever. Like, and I killed that section because I'm like, South Park is one of the best social commentaries we have. It's life has literally become a South Park episode. I live in a South Park episode now. It's not a joke anymore. It's real life. So like when I see, a Cartman. Cartman is a piece of shit. You don't want to be like Cartman. You see certain characters like Randy doing something like that. Like the show is showing you what kind of people you don't want to be like, what kind of society, how stupid we are with society and things like that nature. I think stories like this are important, but what happens in the modern era and right now is something like that will be like, it's bigoted, it's racist, it's this and it's that, and blah blah. And don't get me wrong, South Park is all of those things. But one thing about South Park is no one is safe. They don't care what you are. You getting it. No one is safe. They don't care if you're fat, black, gay, trans, religious, not. You getting roasted. It's equal in that sense. I do like stories like that, but I do think a lot of authors kind of dropped the ball with it though. Like I've never really read any narrative where I felt that like extreme sexual abuse was used for a good reason. I've yet to really encounter that. I was speaking for a while. Someone else wanna chime in?
Yes, let me go ahead.
Yeah, we good. I like them. You see, the problem is, as Yeti said, this sissified era, to quote fucking Western wrestling fans that we live in. They think that the second that you have a quote unquote problematic character, that you're endorsing that behavior for whatever reason, which is not the case at all. Just because you're writing a character that's bad doesn't mean that you endorse that sort of behavior. Endeavor discourse anybody. And it's honestly, I don't even know why or how we got to this point. It's very weird. Also, the word edgy has completely lost its meaning and and just everything. It's lost everything. So the second that there's any type of dark content at all, even just a little bit, it'll be classified as edgy, which is fucking weird. But yeah, man, not only social commentary, but dark shit and um the evils of society and whatnot and all that other fun stuff. I don't have issue with none of that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that type of storytelling either. But it's like we can't even talk about it. We can't publicly talk about these things as a narrative because the second it is there, it's promoting X, Y, and Z for whatever reason. I guess shit's tiring.
Yeah, it's weird to me. The reason I brought up the edgy comment
And
is
never
because
antis,
like
yeah, exactly. Sorry, go ahead.
it to me, I've kind of lost like the meaning of the word edgy. Like I almost don't even like use it anymore because just like
we're
if I'm
so
reading,
desensitized, dude.
yeah, and it's just like if I'm reading a story where the creator is meaning for it to be a darker story, he's trying to show the dark parts of society. So he's showing rape, he's showing gore, he's showing intestines on the floor and shit like that. For me personally, I don't classify that as edgy. The whole story is built off that. Like now, if I'm reading a story that's mostly like light, or I'm reading a romance story, and for whatever reason they try to add some situation where the fucking girl starts walking and she gets next to a dark alley, and all of a sudden somebody try to rape her, that's edgy to me because that was unnecessary. That's probably not adding anything to the story. Like it's lazy.
Yeah.
But it's just like if you're trying to pay, especially from because this manga is historical, it's talking about samurai, and it's showing you that like samurai, like we look at samurai, we kind of glorify samurai as like super cool stuff like that, but they really not good people. Or a lot of good people weren't samurai. The era of samurai wasn't good. You walking around with a sword, you chopping civilians up. A lot of bandits, a lot of criminals became samurai because it gave them the ability to do whatever they want. You know, just like that whole society surviving around them, and those ethics and those morals were not good.
Mhm.
And then somebody will read it and be like, "This is edgy." Like, what do you mean? He's trying to tell you like that everything about this is fucked up.
Yeah.
And like he's doing it in a very grotesque way. It's not fun to read, but it's not edgy.
But
So,
some
yeah.
people aren't really good at getting uncomfortable. Let me try real quick. Villains don't always have to be sympathizing with or have a sad backstory. Right. Don't be like Crocodile. He's still the goat, though. Yeah, Crocodile the goat. The Ginger Kids. Yep. That's simple. Look at that. Be praising God. Who would have thought? Hey, what are the goat, man? Crocodile has no backstory, but he is goddamn amazing. Hey, his backstory, he ran from the New World, but he's still raw. We get shit on too much. That's the point. Don't need a backstory to be clean. That's why Boondocks wouldn't last. Oh, Boondocks? Boondocks? Yeah, that wouldn't work here because the point is you're supposed to be like most of the characters, like the logic behind the thought process. America's a South Park and Onion parody rolled into one. For villains, wait, I need the backstory to be clean for villains. Heroes, I think you do to some extent know their history. I would challenge an author to tell a story with a hero that I don't know anything about and see if they can do it. But I hear you. Sounds like Berserk. White women will tell me a black woman how to feel about it. Yeah, you know the meme, like I said, with Woody stopping Sora, and it's like 14-year-old white girl on the internet, a black person. So yeah, how do you even address a problem without representing it in one way? Absolutely true. Absolutely true. It's just discourse has been lost because people just don't like to hear things that don't kind of align with what they're thinking, which is something we're gonna talk about later. It's all this is so perfect. This is all gonna be a great segue to that section. I can't wait. I swear I don't talk to them if they're so dumb and lack critical thinking skills. They can only sing a viewpoint and criticize other decisions. Yep. 2D ones grow. Modern societies become hypersensitive and desensitized at the same time. Absolutely. Samurai whack, 50% from the field. People glorifying violence. This is why Kenshin is a raw series. It shows mostly these were blood. Yeah. Because Shinta, too soft for a swordsman. Like he, it's like bro, I use my name. Like what's good for you? Kenshin was literally the manslayer. Like the dude ripped through like bodies and bodies upon bodies. And like you don't want to be that, he didn't want to be that. He wanted to be a better person. But all of these people like almost can't put the sword down because a lot of people who live in like a era of violence like that, they don't really know what to do with peace sometimes. So, but yeah, ultimately though, like to circle back to the question, stories like that don't bother me. I kind of like stories like that, or have like a good lesson, like a big picture takeaway, like we spoke about An Ordinary not too long ago. Like I think An Ordinary ultimately has a good message like that. So yeah. Yes, sir. All right. Anything else on this?
We are good.
Yeah, we're good.
All right. Let me bring this up real quick. So when you guys are quote unquote judging a series, I don't care if it's a game, movie, show, book, manga, anime, what have you, whatever y'all into. Do you, when you're kind of rating it, or if you give, I don't really care, like if you're giving it a score, you're rating it, you're just thinking about how much you like it or whatever, is this based on quote unquote the writing and objective quality of the series, or literally your enjoyment, or is it a mixture of the two, or do you flip back and forth?
And who's going
You
first?
want me to go? Okay. I was say I didn't know what was going on. All right, so for me, it is definitely a flip flop of the two. Because sometimes for me though, it's just like if depending on what it is, like sometimes about halfway through, unless the writer really does something to like blow my expectations, a lot of my mind's already been made up by the time we get to like the halfway point. I don't know. I feel like I kind of have like a foresight, and I'm just like, if I didn't see some inkling of like great potential or some type of like some type of plot point or writing point that's going, I feel like, oh, I gotta wait to reserve my opinion. I already decided. Now that might not seem like a good thing, because some people are like, oh, you're basically gonna play into confirmation bias at that point. I don't disagree with that necessarily, but for me, it's just like some writers, they already showed me their hand before we even finished. So I don't have no reason to believe that they go do better. In fact, I have more reason to believe that it could get worse.
Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of a factor of both, because if I enjoy it, though, I can excuse certain stuff as long as I feel like it doesn't betray the story itself. Because I feel like most people, if you're enjoying a series at a super high level, and I don't mean most of the time when I say enjoying the series, I don't mean like you're enjoying the writing. Because at least most people that eat or something like that, that's most of the time that's not what they're talking about.
Okay.
Some people do that, but a lot of people, when they enjoy something, it's normally something with a lot of action or a lot of like moving parts. So if they're enjoying that, more likely than not, they're gonna overlook writing faults and stuff like that. Unless they're just, and even if they're egregious, I feel like people still overlook it because you're just willing to fucking Jedi mind trick yourself into believing that like at any point, I feel like as a person you can convince yourself of anything if you want to.
Yeah.
You can Jedi mind trick yourself into anything. So at the end of the day, enjoyment is probably gonna.
Remember, I told you I can rationalize a lot of things for a lot of my series. I just don't do it because I don't like giving the author too much credit when they don't deserve it. I can rationalize just about anything. I could totally rationalize that Big Mom thing. I could do it. I can make it make sense for myself. I didn't want to. She was whack.
But yeah, I try to balance. I try not to overly criticize, and I try not to like give them too much of a pass either. So I feel like I do a pretty good job of balancing both for most series.
Yeah. Let me read the chat real quick and then send me. You go ahead and answer. Let me read the chat though. Pull this up. Let me see. Video games I rank by enjoyment. I rank anime objectively. I don't even know my anime unless it's based on my personal enjoyment. I hear it. Subjectivity out. Yep. Solely off my Okay. A bit of both. It can be well written, but if I don't enjoy, it's whatever to me. Enjoyment matters to me the most on the first read through. However, writing is still important to me. Upon the reread, writing takes precedence for me. I want to dissect this shit and see if I still like it. I can respect that too. Just shut up, clap. Enjoyment. The writing is important, but if I'm reading about something and I get like a shit eating grin, I'm gonna love whatever the hell I'm consuming. Enjoying it matters. I don't care about writing flaws so much. I hear you. I'll go next. Now you go last, Simi. I don't think I have too much to say on this. Enjoyment. Go ahead.
All right.
I'll kind of just go through now at this point, yeah, enjoyment, because I think I fell prey to the idea that bias and subjectivity decreased the validity of my arguments. I went through that phase. I'm at the point now that I completely understand it's not the case. And if you want to personalize something towards your experience to explain it, there's nothing wrong with that. I saw a Death Stranding review that I thought was so interesting because the dude who was reviewing it, I just don't remember his name at all because I don't follow it. I just kind of found it on accident. He personalized his experience with the game because he learned to become more open and social by literally biking around like America by himself. Like he just kind of like took whatever money he had, some water, and he left. And you know how Thing spends most of his game alone on his Amazon delivery service type beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because he's personalizing that story to his experiences? Does that make what he's saying any less credible? No, I don't believe that at all. But there was a long time where I believed if you weren't just spouting out facts, statistics, logic, and reason, and nothing else, your argument wasn't as solid. But I've grown far past that. So I could just be like, I like JoJo because it's fun, and it could be like, there's a plot hole here, and I could be like, it's still my favorite. Like I don't care. Nothing you say is going to change my mind on that. I don't care. You don't have to like it. I'm talking about me. So I'm at that point. But yeah, you guys hear me talk about writing conventions and things all the time. Obviously, I think critically, and I like to analyze and deconstruct when I'm reading. But at the point now, my critical analysis and deconstruction is more so for me like just being like a nerd about it. I don't really care if it's good or bad sometimes. I just like to break shit down. But I don't let me like being like, hey, this is not the best written series, but man, it's animated well. I like the voice acting. The music is good. Like I could look at other things. Like the writing isn't the end all be all. The artwork isn't the end all be all. So I like to look at all the moving parts. Like I could play a game with terrible writing, but for a video game, I don't. The story could be the worst thing ever. But if the gameplay hits, I'm having a good time. I don't care about the plot of a video game. So a lot of it's dependent. I'm babbling. Go ahead, Simi. Unleash.
Yeah, it's 101% enjoyment, man. And nothing else fucking matters. I don't care how good that this writing is. I don't care how realistic it is. I don't care about this, that, and the third. That shit boring to me, then it's not raw. Simple as that. I mean, we've had this conversation numerous times, and I'm gonna keep repeating myself as many times that we have this conversation. The entire point of all of this shit is entertainment. However, everybody's different. Everybody's entertained in different ways. That's why there is absolutely no such thing as more objectivity on opinions when it comes to fucking entertainment, because we're all entertained different ways. There is no factual way to entertain somebody, period. It doesn't matter who the fuck you are. All right. So I don't like, and that's the exact reason why I don't care for Full Metal Alchemist at all, because that shit does not entertain me. Not one bit. Not a single bit of it. And even with Bones shaking their ass, even with Bones tooting their ass high up in the air with that fucking animation, I still don't care. And that's all there is to it. So it's like, yeah, it's 101% it's 101% entertainment for everything.
Yeah.
Like, man, Inversion is a blatant Gears of War clone. I mean, every single thing about it. And that game fucking raw. Playing as some bum ass generic white man named, what his name? Davis? I think it was Davis. And I got a Latino partner, and you know, these things that look like, I completely forgot the niggas from Gears of War. I know they use a slang term to call them grubs, but I forgot their actual name. But they completely look like the grubs from Gears of War. They invade fucking Earth, and you know, the whole gameplay is stick to cover and shit. Exactly what fucking Gears of War popularized 2 generations ago. Like, they didn't even try to hide that this shit was a Gears clone, and that shit's still raw because the shit was just so fucking silly, and I had an absolute blast playing it. The ending was ridiculous. The twist in the middle of the game was ridiculous, and that shit was fucking raw. And I'm like, yeah, so I don't care how much y'all think that, you know, XYZ writing is good and all that other shit. If it doesn't personally entertain me, then it's whack.
I think we should. Can we talk about this a lot? I feel like we should like rephrase the question or try to look at it from a different perspective. So I rather think I should ask this. I guess because at the end of the day, for you, does good writing matter?
No, absolutely not. It still doesn't, bro. Doom is the greatest game of all fucking time, and that shit literally has no story. It literally drop you in the first level and you're shooting demons. And that game has stood the test of time for how fucking long. So it's like, bro, I'm not hearing nothing out of nobody's mouth about no fucking story, nothing. Now, of course, that's a plus and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it's all about entertainment. That's why we looking at all of this shit to be entertained. If I'm not being entertained, then what the fuck am I doing here? You know, like, you know, I could rant and rave about how good Umineko's storytelling is, but at the end of the day, that game entertained me. Period. From the fucking opening bell. You know, I'm entertained. I'm scared. I'm hype. I'm laughing. You know, I'm being entertained. You know, the how well Ryokichi's storytelling is adds to that as a plus. But at the end of the day, the characters are entertaining me. The setting is entertaining me. The premise is entertaining me. So on and so forth. Simple as that. I literally read a manga that had little to no story at all. It was like 90 chapters of like 8 through 12 pages per chapter. I read that whole thing, and I thought that shit was fire. Just about some nigga he fighting some nigga he live in some backwater village, and like some waifu vampire bitch come through, and these niggas like slaughter his village and he want revenge. That shit was raw. The art was cool, the ecchi was cool. I don't care about nothing else, man. So it's like
I think it matters on the medium for me, because it's just like gaming. I'm not gonna lie, I don't give a shit. Some of my favorite games either convoluted, don't have no fucking really story based anything, or just fucking it's just not good at writing. But I don't give a shit because it was fun. When it comes to actual shit that's supposed to have some merit of the writing, well, obviously then it matters a lot more. Or like even when we reading fucking smut or something, the writing don't really matter that much as long as it's not egregiously terrible. It's just like, but even then, sometimes I still be enjoying it because it made me laugh. I was like, this is so bad, it's actually good because it's fun.
I mean, listen, man. As I said, I said what I had to say. It's entertainment across the board. I don't care what I'm looking at. And I said the story could you could spew about how good XYZ writing is. I don't care. If the shit is not entertaining me, I don't care. I don't care what it is. A book, a novel, a VN, anime, manga. I don't care, man. If it's not entertaining me, I'm not looking at it.
That much I agree with for certain, but Vince is right, and because like remember I was saying at one point if Kubera was just a novel, a lot of the stuff in the first part would have been perfectly fine with me and okay with me. Like yeah, I probably do judge mediums differently a little bit, but at the end of the day, like Sammy is saying, I gotta be having a good time. Like one thing that I've always tried to do on the channel is, I always encourage you guys to think critically and not just absorb things, and move on. But please don't forget to have fun. Like, I feel like arguments have become, well, even if like this manga discourse is like, how can I slam dunk on this guy? Like, he like Jujutsu Kaisen, I like Yaiba. Yo, how can I slam dunk on him? Like, well, like why can't you just have a nice, good conversation where you both walk away having learned something? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Let me chat real quick. I like what is it? I don't know if it's Jiger or Jukur. I don't know if I said that right, but I like what you said. Like, I don't care about objectivity or good writing the series has. It has to be enjoyable. I don't care what philosophy or message the series has if I can't give a damn about it because how boring it is. All their writing falls flat for me. I feel that. Where like I could be presented with something where I'm like I actually think the execution of this is good, but if I don't care about it, it's not going to hit for me. So I agree with that. I don't think a person's personal attachment lessens the ability to rank the series high, but I don't like ranking my things based off it. But I like hearing why people attach a certain things because that's how I am with games. Fair enough. I like the series in my brain because I enjoy doing it, and any series that makes me do that is just great to me. Gameplay is going to be heavily tied to how you feel while you play. Send me spitting. I can analyze without my grandma reading it to me. Why is he like this? Why is he acting like this?
Well, here's
so
my
we don't
thing,
have to
right?
all be English majors? Apparently not. We don't.
I feel like in some case, right, we're talking about enjoyment, but
I didn't get to all the comments.
I feel like you can manufacture enjoyment, like in a sort of sense, because like yeah, enjoyment matters at the end of the day, but I just like there are ways that maybe like let's say like cause I seen this shit happen with fucking all sorts of manga. I feel like the reason that people rate it so highly is because they read it with other people, or because they fucking ran agendas on it, or this, that, and the other. Because if they were just reading it by themselves, sitting in a room or some shit like that, they wouldn't feel the same way. So I'm not disregarding that like enjoyment is the ultimate factor, but you can manufacture that shit. I seen it done with fucking QQ and all sorts of other manga, Chainsaw Man, all that shit. Part of the reason why people I think enjoy that shit so much, they manufactured that shit. They got fucking fan art, niggas read enjoy because just like if you were just reading that based on what the writer put on the paper, you feel completely differently than if you didn't do all this other stuff that help make it fun. So it's just like I feel like at the end of the day, if you really wanted to, you can make almost anything enjoyable in a lot of ways.
I hear you. I can do that for myself, but let me just get through the comments. I wasn't done. So hold on.
Oh, okay.
Story don't matter in games, but you can but can you apply that to manga? Yeah, I can, because the narrative is not the most important thing to me when I'm experiencing a story. It's the characters. you could have a bad story, but if I love one character, I can get my way through and have a good time. So that's kind of how I am. I think the importance of writing fluctuates based on what medium you're consuming. Yes, because like I said, how many times have I used the example? If I press start and the video game starts with I gotta find my sister and the game just start, I don't need a goddamn thing else. Let me play the game uninterrupted. I don't care about your story in the video game. Like you said, I'm a meathead video games. I skip all the cutscenes and dialogue. I don't do that. I don't skip the dialogue and cutscenes, but I don't really need it. That's for Hollow Knight. Yeah. Oh, you Hollow Knight. Let's go. Silk Song coming. Yes, sir. We in there. I need a narrative from Kuma story. I've grown past it. I used to be that way though. Yeah, it matters on what you want out of the series. I think. Yep. That's why Fairy Tail is greater than sign. Yes, sir. The GOAT. For real, even my Smutwa has a story. I'm not reading something with no story. Smutwa can really take me out of a story if it's that bonkers. I'll give you that. Like, my immersion could get ruined quickly. I'm like, okay, is this some Korean shit or something? Like, I don't know. This would happen in real life, and I'll get out of there. So I feel you. Go to your room. Twitter argument fast with stop enjoying things. I like Bleach because I like the character design, supernatural fighting. I don't care what they're writing. I just want to see Bankai, and there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. You say this and then drag Takashi on Twitter. Takashi's not a good writer. He's overrated. He's a hack. He's a hack. He's a fraud. Hello, is this thing on? I'm joking. That's for narrative, centric mediums though. Blah blah blah. Okay, there's a lot of comments. I'm tired now. Speaking of when I was manufacturing Yu Yu Hakusho, oof. How do you manufacture enjoyment? He basically just met all the little gimmicks and distractions you can do, like letting the community run with it, fan art, things blow up because sometimes, not because the thing is good, because somebody like cosplayed it really well, and that can kind of garner some intrigue. Or maybe like something is not really well known, but you know, Twitch streamers, popular guy XY2, he watched it, and now now people care about it. So things like that happen. But yeah, Mr. Lizardo.
Hello.
How you doing, brother?
I'm good.
You want to chime in on the topic?
The enjoyment thing?
Yeah, like if you're rating something, you rate it on enjoyment or the objective quality of the series.
Well, I'm not keeping it a bug. I do enjoyment because, I'm not... like, I can, like... So, I'm not going to act like I'm a neep, okay? I'm not going to be able to break down the story and be able to tell you all this shit, like the foreshadowing or, like, how well it did that shit. I'm not going to be able to do that. So, I just do enjoyment. And I just think, that shit's enjoyable. It's good to me. If it's not enjoyable, it's not good to me. That's it.
When am I having my own power scaling debate like Jay? Hey, someone time him out. Can't he be tied up because he's a mod? He has a sword. Damn it, he might be too powerful. But as far as people who base enjoyment on reactions or what's being fed to TL, I'm gonna keep it a buck. If this weak-willed, I don't understand the idea. Y'all liking shit ain't gonna change me from liking and vice versa. Y'all nerd losing on the country. Yeah, that's a fact. That's an absolute fact. Power scaling make my head hurt. Oh man, listen, I'm out the game. I gave it up a long time ago. But yeah, enjoyment is the most important thing for me. But yeah, don't get it twisted. Like literally, this is what I did in school. Like, and the things and the subjects that I excelled at in school it wasn't like math I was bad at. I actually wasn't even good at geography. I can't say I was bad at history. I just didn't care at the time. I care now. I wish I could back then. But like, English and philosophy, writer's craft, mystery class, media study, film class. Those are the things that I truly, truly excelled in, and that's when I went into journalism and English and post-secondary and stuff. So, like, I'm always very comfortable talking about writing narratives and stories. I've even shadowed, I've shadowed some of my friends who, like, graphic design and actually animate, so I've seen them in the field making a movie. There's a movie on Netflix I think it's called Next Gen or Gen something. It's like a girl with, like, purplish hair and like a robot, and one of my friends he worked on the movie, and that's how I got to really see like the ins and outs. So like I'm usually when I speak about these things, I kind of actually like took the time to research it, follow it, and this is what I did in school, so like I'm comfortable talking about it. But one thing about me is I don't really like to blab my mouth if I don't know something. So if we're talking about now math and there's a mathematician in the fucking chat in the call, I'm not gonna pretend I'm a know-it-all. Like, you're a mathematician, that doesn't mean I'm gonna just listen to everything you say, but I'm gonna defer to you. You're the expert, you know what I'm saying? So even as a person who really cares about writing and stuff like that, I don't overdo it anymore. I learned to just sometimes, there's no one size fits all. What were you trying to accomplish? I think you accomplished this. It's a good story. I liked it. So yeah. We good? Next gen. Okay, that's what it's called. Yeah. Let me get Jay to shit on your timer for you. Get me out of there. Do you have anything else I want to say? I think there was one more, and then we could get to the story and shit. Find it. Oh, okay. So the tweet about I think more writers should talk about how writing and storytelling are two different skills appreciated by two different types of people, and while they need each other to thrive, they are not actually the same skill. So basically, I'm saying let's talk about that. I'm not gonna say if you had to pick which one is more important or whatever. Actually, I'll ask you if you have a preference or not. But do you agree with that? Because I feel like I've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
Because I always say I use a comedian, as a thing where it's like, let's just say for whatever reason this joke is quote unquote objectively funny. Like if you could tell it right, people will laugh. But if you can't story tell, no one's gonna laugh at the joke. Do you pause? Do you do right inflections? Do you kind of if you're on stage, do you have good facial expressions? Like that all will tie into telling the joke. You know what I'm saying? So I actually always agreed that the writing itself, the text, the dialogue, and the pacing and stuff is one thing, but like the presentation of the story, presentation of the story, how you tell it and stuff, like you could really separate it. But I do think that the skills intertwine. You need both for it to truly work together. But I've always been more interested in how you tell a story, more sort of than like the writing itself. Because I've read so many stories that are just like up its own ass, mad pompous, mad flowery, condescending language, like. The entire sentence itself, you use the most complicated version of each word when you could have just used house, but you chose the most complicated version for house to seem smarter. That never works on me. So if you keep your shit more casual, not really formal and stuff, that's fine. I read tons of stories where the characters are talking like how we speak. They're using slang and things of that nature, and I don't think that makes it a poorly written series if the story is told well. But I'll stop there for now. Come back with my second lap later. What y'all think, though?
Yeah, there's absolutely a huge difference between freaking writing and storytelling. I would actually argue that Fate and My Hero tell a very similar story about heroism, yet they're literally fucking night and day. Right? Shiro wanted to be a hero because he grew up idolizing his father, who he in his mind was the biggest hero in his life. Deku grew up wanting to be a hero, idolizing Japan's #1 hero and whatnot, right? And we both follow their journey with this idea of heroism, but they're both, the way it's presented to you and the way it's told to you is completely different from each other. So absolutely, there is a big difference between the two, and I don't even know what to say about preference between the two. I mean, I don't believe I'm nowhere near as harsh as you, because I could enjoy some shit that's like really fucking simple and told like kind of badly, and then vice versa, but I do agree with the trap of, because we see it fucking every goddamn day on Twitter, of just using big ass words to make yourself seem like you smart and you have a lot of knowledge, all that fucking word soup bullshit and whatnot. But I really feel like this topic, even the way that the question was presented, like it might seem a little complex, but I don't really think it's complex at all. You could tell you could have the same exact theme or like same exact premise and it be told completely different. Shit.
Precisely.
Danganronpa and Zero Escape, anybody? But
I would even say like Danganronpa and Low, they completely tackled the despair versus hope theme differently. So, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
No, freaking, you could there's a difference. There's a huge difference, and even if you didn't necessarily know that, I feel like everybody who's been on a journey through literature, shit, even if just only through the shit that you was forced to read in school, you've experienced it. Just might not know of it. You might not have known that's what you was experiencing, but yeah, I believe all of us as fucking literature readers or being forced to read literature in any shape, form that comes in has experienced that. I don't think this is something freaking complicated or like mind blowing either.
Yeah. I think it was. I think for some people, it's hard to separate the two because I don't think they see it as different. It's different because I think they just think the writing is the writing, right? So as long as there's any type of words there, but it's like no, people have different styles of telling a story, right? Some authors or some content creators, creative teams are not. They're very not wordy. Like there's like you have to pick up context clues from like let's say the artwork. People tell stories differently. So yeah, is wait, did you want to chime in, Vince and or Lizard?
I think Vince is on mute, so
Definitely he's
Nope,
on
you
mute.
oh,
can
never
go.
mind.
I'm here.
Well, he was
Or
on
you can
definitely. I
go.
thought he was gone, but yeah, I agree with that. I agree with this. I was thinking more in like in terms of music. It's like being able to like play the right chords or something is kind of like writing or like learning that. But just because you know how to play the right chords doesn't mean you'll like doesn't mean the song you'll write or like you play will be better than somebody else's that doesn't, something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I do agree though. But yeah,
I'm
I don't
glad.
think
I'm kind of glad you said that because I've always kind of seen storytelling in music in a similar vein. So I like that you said that because, like you could be an incredible lyricist, killing them, drilling them with cinnamon, rippity rap, right? But but then someone might have their lyrics and choruses like it's not as complex, if you will,
or deep,
but
yeah,
the beat go hard and they writing that shit and we
and they
bumping it,
flow better,
yeah.
and they
So
flow better. They like rap better. So yeah,
yeah,
it's just yeah, I completely get that.
go
But
ahead,
yeah,
Vince. Mr. Benitez.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm here. I'm
It's
here.
your
Repeat
turn.
the question. I'm sorry.
What
I was
is the
finishing up this PowerPoint.
what is the question?
Yeah.
We're
See.
talking about storytelling versus writing. Do you agree with the idea that
Oh.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like do you agree that do you agree that they're both different writing skills and stuff and everything? Blah 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 yada yada.
Yeah, because I think that I think it kind of connects to the other question we just asked because it's like yeah he write good.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can look at something and be like, oh, they write good, but it's boring. But it takes a talent to write something and write it in a way that like it may be a style that you didn't prefer, but they made it good because they're such a good storyteller.
Yep.
Like for me, like Zatch Bell got me like really attached to the characters in a short amount of time. But most times, if you had that style of trying to like make me connect to the characters in a short amount of time, that don't really work. But for me, I think he's a good storyteller in a way that he was able to connect me to the characters so quickly, even if they weren't necessarily having like themes or types of or doing types of things that I would or personality archetypes that I would normally connect to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a skill that you have to have because you could write something and it could be something I like, but if you don't do it in a way that's entertaining or I could look at and be like, oh, okay, that was like really good, then it doesn't matter. And all of that is like y'all were saying, like a presentation, like it could be like the choice of words that you use for your characters, because you could have two characters saying the exact same thing, but the words, the dialogues matter.
Mm-hmm.
If you make them say it in like a raw way, or like one character curses a lot or one character doesn't curse, or there's different ways you can present it that can make it sound better depending on the person. So things like that matter, and sometimes that's the difference between like Western storytelling and some of the Asian storytelling too, because just like the way that they go about things, they could be saying the exact same thing, but they say it different.
Yeah.
So
Is that anything else you want to time on that, or can I? Or I'll start with the main event, I guess.
Um, Nah.
All right. So let's circle back, you guys.
Actually, I do got something to say.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
No,
I'm about to spend
he's not-
some money.
he's saying that we're cutting it in off for some reason. But hold on. Go ahead.
I'm about to spend some goddamn money. That's what I'm.
Mm-hmm.
Carry on. I said what I had to say.
Let me know if it's better. I don't know if it's Discord being weird. I don't think it's the internet, and nothing's lagging on my Discord on my OBS. So it's not frames aren't being dropped. It might just be because Discord's tripping. Because usually, sometimes when you guys are going in and out for me, I could still hear it on the stream. It's just me. I know it's being weird, but anyways. So to circle back to what I kind of started the stream with at work today, where I was talking to the psychologist. He used to do therapy for people and stuff like that. And I was just picking their brain, and we just talked about a lot of stuff that I thought was very interesting. So I wanted to like kind of dive into it, but I do want to give like a couple of warnings, I guess. So this woman is mixed. She's in her 50s. She's black and white, and I don't know how anyone kind of aligns politically here, but she leans like right. And I only bring that up because most people that I meet nowadays, they're very left leaning, and a lot of them are pretty radical, but she leans far right. So like if that's not something you could really handle, because they usually have a much more blunt way of presenting their ideas and speaking, I don't know. I guess run away, because like, you know, I always use the thing example with like like for somebody who's 5'8" of this of 5'8" of this gender, you're a little bit over the recommended weight. It's like, no, like you're fat, right? Like she's like that. Like she's like, no, you're fat. You're not fluffy. You're not thick. You're not big bodied. You're fat. So like when I'm speaking about like how she's saying it, I'm gonna present it the way that she did it. So like I might be a little blunt, but don't take that the wrong way, I guess. But and two, she mostly, maybe because her age and the time period she came from, for the most part, a lot of things to bring up, she mostly focused on traditional relationships. So mostly kind of heterosexual stuff. So she didn't too much speak about too much same sex stuff, because she hasn't dealt with too many. She said she's seen it more in her latter years, but not too much stuff like that. But yeah, psychology is super interesting. Like I actually have looked up some books too. Like, and I was talking about it with one of my friends. 'Cause I know she's into that. But you said double cheeks. They're fluffy, but yeah. So it essentially, honestly, it started with like, I can't even remember how I really spoke to her at first, but she basically asked me if I'm a feminist, and I said no, right? And if you asked me at like 18, I would have said yes, but I said no. But if you asked me if I ride with Black Lives Matters, I would also tell you no, for the very reason that the original purpose and intention of this movement has completely been lost, and everybody has their own agenda, propaganda, and this, that, and the third. So I'm just not interested, right? So it's just like, I'm good. Like, listen, hopefully everybody gets what they need, but I'm not here to fight for that like that, right? So it is what it is in that sense. So, and she's like, and basically our conversation started with her basically saying how much she can't stand feminism. She hates it. And I guess it took me aback personally, because I don't think I've ever heard a woman say that. I know there's women who are anti-feminist or whatever, but I've never really heard someone say that, especially a woman. So it took me back for a second, and I was just like, and then she went into like fourth wave feminism, double standards, and basically how the modern woman has been, or the modern society is trying to teach males to be weak and teach females, and making females very entitled when they don't even have any discernible skills. And she went in. And it was funny because like me and her cut the bullshit. We're like yeah, niggas say this, guys talk about that. She's like, girls are catty. You know how they are. They're super. I'm like, oh my, like she said a lot of things that I just don't think a lot of people are honest about. Like I could have a really open and honest dialogue about certain things, because I'm trying to get to a new place, a new point of understanding. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if I have to hear you say men are trash 100 times, I'll have the conversation with you. It's fine. But I don't care about like Being a dude is never important to me. A real man, traditional man, none of that's ever mattered to me. I'm Nia Hemmings before I'm anything else. Before I'm Canadian, before I'm black, before I'm this, that, and the third. I'm Nia Hemmings, and I'm raw. That's all that matters to me. Then we can get into the other subsections of what I am. But before I keep rambling, anything you want to chime in on?
Nah, you good. Keep going. I ain't nothing to say.
I agree with you. That's the thing about me, especially. I don't care about being a traditional male, and I sure as shit don't give a fuck about gender.
Are you finishing them meals?
A lot of people
Them
don't
meals, pal?
understand that.
Are you finishing them? Are you finishing them meals? So psychology might interesting from the bus up and I want to double check that. My cousin used to talk to me about it when he had class. Oh, you're a psych major? That's so perfect. So anything I say that's mad dumb, Mikey, just correct me. All right. I enter my psych classes and other series of courses. Shinpachi the feminist, yes. Oh, and how bad bitch feminism doesn't help women at all. My new favorite discourse. So yeah, I mean I'm alright. I'm the GOAT. But I'm a real man. I just chopped some wood and ate steak. Hey, that's are you a hunter gatherer? But I just thought it was interesting. So we talked about a slew of things. So I'm just gonna kind of get into them. I think everyone here is mature enough that it's not gonna devolve into like chaos and stuff and everything. But I think the two things that I took from the conversation that really, really kind of made me look at some stuff in a really interesting way is one is entitlement, right? And she believes that the basically the contemporary woman and stuff are being raised to be extremely entitled for no good reason. And one conversation that we had that I thought that was it was interesting. She said that when she's dealing with a lot of older women, single women or whatever that have they're sad or whatever, and they're not like in a relationship or have kids or a family, she says she finds that most of them are extreme feminists, almost, I guess radical almost, and then she kind of like, I wonder why nobody wants to fucking be with you type beat to me. I'm like, oh my god, come on, can you say that? Can you say that? And then the second thing, I'll come back to that in a second. The second thing that I thought was really interesting is her viewpoint of abusers, addicts, and enablers. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I know I'm all over the place because I'm like excited, and I'm not even like retaining. I didn't even retain everything as well as I should, but she was speaking about people in our society who are abusers / addicts and enablers, but she was not talking about drug addicts, gamblers, or drinkers. She was talking about gold diggers, attention seekers, and things of that nature. And it was so interesting because she was having a conversation that she actually used the word simp, dude. You ever heard like a 46-year-old woman say the word simp? This shit is so funny. How simps are absolutely a terrible thing because all it does is enable women entitlement. How do you guys feel about that? So far, before I get into that.
She has not told a single lie, at least from my vantage point.
Mm-hmm. Is Matt learning something new? Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what it is. I'm just learning something new, like, because we also spoke about like Gen X and Z males for the most part, and why they're so confused and so pathetic, almost like pretty weak. And she said that this ties into it. I'll get to that in a second. Like, I know I'm so fucking all over the place, but she said simp, and I started laughing. But she's like how. She actually I can harp this back to something you might understand that makes it a little easier to visualize, because I have this conversation with Vince sometimes where I always tell Vince, how could I be mad at James Harden for flopping all over the place and shooting 20 free throws a game if the refs allow it, right? I'm not mad at James Harden. I'm mad at the referee. Don't allow this behavior. You're enabling it. And she was saying that if, let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, it doesn't matter what it is, right? And you have a lot of wealth and they don't, but you are allowing them to gold dig off of you, you are part of the problem. And you can't just turn around and flip that on them. And I just thought it was a very interesting way to look at it, because she was basically speaking about all these situations that while the person who was maybe an attention seeker or a compulsive liar and stuff are dangerous, the people around them that enable it are not making it any better, because she said that any type of addict has to feel emotional, physical, mental, financial, psychological, a combination of all of those or some of those, repercussions for their actions to actually change. To the point where she's like, honestly, sometimes you need to let a drug addict almost fucking die to learn that their life is important. And I thought that was interesting. I'm still talking a lot. Anyone want to chime in?
Keep going.
I always feel like wait, am I on mute? Okay, no, never mind. I always feel like as a society, at this point, I feel like because a lot of these conversations and a lot of the truths of some of these things were so oppressed, and stuff like male patriarchy and stuff like that's been so prevalent. I feel like we're getting to a point where we're overcorrecting ourselves. Like nobody wants to be the medium. Now everybody else wants to be the loud majority, and they're oppressing the people that did the stuff to them. And we can have a conversation about that. It's just like, is that okay or not? But I feel like we're dealing with an overcorrection of everything. Basically, everything is like controversial almost. We're at a point of overcorrection.
That's actually totally true. Isn't marriage technically simping? Oh my god, she's absolutely fucking right. Simps scare me, to be honest. Since I'm such an emotional person, they weird me out. Like their form of attachment is so illogical, and I feel like they do anything. Yeah, just leave me alone. You don't even know my favorite anime or breakfast food. You are just here weirding me out. Unfortunately, I've had moments of serious simping. I won't lie. Listen, if I sat here and told you I've never simped, I would be a liar too. Like I've gone through the ups and downs of all of that too. So it is what it is. It's difficult to have respect for someone that'll have respect for everyone themselves. Simps are the epitome of that. Yeah. Okay, where was I? Damn it. Okay. So I'm gonna start here, and then we'll move. I'll switch. I'll start with this woman topic, then I'll go to a male topic, and then I'll go to like a both one. But we'll start with the woman topic, where she said that the entitlement of the current generation. Basically, she said anyone about 35 and younger. She said she finds on average is insane to her, because she's like, how generally speaking, if she's talking with men who are dealing with anything related to relationships, I'm gonna keep this for the time being heterosexual, because I can't speak on gay. I can't really speak on same sex. I'm not, so I don't really know. And that's mostly what she spoke about. She was like how women do a lot of deflecting for wasting their younger years, where they were more fertile and desirable, and that if she said sometimes she'll ask them like, what do you look for in your partner, and they'll have a list of 30 things, from 6 feet, 6 figures, dog person, only likes rap, like things like that. It's like mad specific things too, right? And she was like, I promise you, if a person like this gets everything they want, they still won't be happy. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. And I learned something super new today, and I didn't know this. And this actually kind of it's crazy, because 2 people popped into my mind. I'm so fucking all over the place. I'm sorry, guys, but have you guys ever spoken? I'm talking about somebody who's a full-grown human being, and they've opened their mouth and they do not sound their age. And I mean it in the sense, like, not that they don't sound the way you thought they would sound. I'm talking about a 35-year-old man who legitimately sounds like he's 13. This is not rhetorical. I'm asking a question. Hello?
Yes, you told me about him. So, yes.
No, I'm just saying in general. Have you met anybody like that?
But not at quite that age. Maybe because I'm still a little bit younger.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I tell people a lot that, like, there is some point where we all have to realize that. Especially, I feel like this is especially told to like guys, that we all kind of get to an age where it's just like we realize that like nobody's gonna feel sorry for us. So like playing victim is kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take accountability for your own life. But that's something that's like I feel particularly, especially as a black male, is something that's really taught to us, because we looked at it just like, listen, man, no matter how you feel, it's like you're correct. Like you could bitch and moan and complain about life being unfair and this and the other, and that there's a whole bunch of shit against us, which is all true. None of that is incorrect. But at the end of the day, it don't matter. You still gonna have to get up and do shit you don't want to have to do, because you don't have no choice. That's just the way it is. There's a whole bunch of things against us that's not in our favor. The ball is not in our court. But at the end of the day, it don't matter. You gotta fucking make shit happen. You have to fucking do things. You can't play victim. Because if you play victim, you ain't never gonna go nowhere.
Do Freddie Gibbs count? Let me stop.
I don't know.
No, just
I don't know.
referring to the fucking discourse that's been happening on the timeline all today.
I missed that. What happened? Summarize it for me real quick. I did miss that.
So apparently, this is all news to me. So apparently, all Gibbs couldn't hear, his entire account gimmick is posting like miscellaneous videos of like wild shit, and he be roasting it, I guess, or some shit like that. I don't know, right? So today he posted a video of some fucking weirdo recording this guy who's working at a hotel, right? And apparently he made some mistake. We don't know what it was because all the dude who was recording was just saying was that you made a mistake type beat, and he's literally harassing the guy, and then like the guy starts having a literal mental breakdown. Like he fucking like he tossed the keyboard, and he like punched the computer, and he went in the bathroom. You could hear him like sobbing and shit. And then people was like, "Yo, what's good with you? Why would you post this? Like, this is kind of serious type beat, because this is not helping anybody in this situation, especially not this person who's literally working in a fucking pandemic for peanuts, having a mental breakdown because humans are trash, and all this nigga did was double down on it like 4 times over the course of posting a video. So that's what happened today and whatnot. So that's why I brought a nigga name up, and it's 101% childish. That nigga's almost fucking 40. He talking about some I love making woke people on Twitter mad type beat. I'm like, nigga, your head is shaped like a fucking light bulb. What are you talking about?
Okay, all right. I hear you guys, but that's not what I meant. That's what I'm talking about. I was talking about. I was talking about being childish. Cause like, yeah. All right. Let me get back on track because I'm off track. I had a point. So I could think of 2 people, both older than me, in their 30s, 32 and a little older. Right? And I kid you not, sometimes to this day it takes me aback when I hear them speak, because they have some childish patterns, and they legitimately do not sound like they're 30. They sound like they're like a prepubescent teenager type beat. And I learned that a really, really strong tell for a childhood trauma is that the voice stops developing. If you experience some childhood trauma a lot of the times really early in your life, your voice will not deepen anymore. You're like the tension or something like that will kind of keep your voice kind of light and childlike. So if you ever heard like a grown ass person who sounds like mad childish, they could have gone through something that's like a trauma or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I thought that was mad crazy because 2 people immediately popped into my head where I could confirm that, at least one of them, something tragic happened really young, and that was more like a massive like loss of family and stuff. But it was crazy. I feel like now you're talking about anyone who calls people haters. Oh no, I'm not. I don't care about. I don't even. It's about the Gibbs shit. I don't care about that. I don't talk about none of that. I'm talking about what I learned today. That's all I care about. What I learned today. I don't give a fuck about Freddie Gibbs. I don't care what he's doing. But anyways, so that was crazy to me because she was like, yeah, like a lot of times when she's talking to these kind of women, they have really like weird childlike tendencies and they're abusive to animals. I'm like, what? Commonplace to see to be abusive to animals. What do you mean? Like, if they don't, because they're single or whatever, they'll get an animal and like abuse it, overlove it, or not let it, or like become a cat lady and stuff like that. And I'm just sitting, like literally at one point, I was just eating celery, and I'm like leaned back, I'm like, crunching, just listening to her. I'm like, okay, so what do you think? Like, I literally picked the hell out of, I got like a free session almost, just talking about all kinds of things. So it was so crazy because at least with that one individual, I know what he went through, and I'm like, yeah, he always sound like he's like fucking 12 to me, and I never knew why. So I'm like, that's kind of crazy. So, and she told me about signs of people who have probably been like through something a lot, just in general, and things to look out for. And she's like, entitlement's a big one, and I was like, really? She's like, what do you? And I was like, what kind of makes people entitled? And she said a lot of the times it's being rewarded for bad behavior or just kind of existing, and you just get rewarded for no reason, which is why she's like, I don't like Sims for that, because they'll be like, oh, like, you're just a queen, you're a queen, you're this, you're that, you're a queen. Here's $100 for looking good. And she's like, looking good is not a skill. You can get burned, you get old, stuff like that happen, you never know. So it's like, I don't know, it was just such an interesting day, because I just learned so many things that I never even thought about. But shit, let me see if I can find the other thing out. I'm forgetting so much thing. I was on a roll. What else did I have to like think? Oh, she spoke really like a lot about like human nature and how the human brain works, and the idea of the fact that human beings truly hate the truth. They can't stand it. And most people who are not where they want to be in life know exactly why and choose not to do it. And she started talking to me about some shows that I've never seen. I think one's called The Talk or something like that. I think one of the twins are on it, like Tia Tamera or the other one. I think she's on it, that show. She brought up some show. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called House Swap. It's like, if I'm married, Simi, and you're married, like, I might go to your house and you come to my house, or like my wife will go to your house and your wife come to my house, and we switch roles because we live differently, and there's like a week of that.
Yeah, we should watch that show.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, good. Okay, so all right, so she was bringing up all these examples of like the importance of essentially equivalent exchange and compromise, and she kind of said the thing where it's like, some people are so up their own ass, they think they just should have and deserve everything, and in that pursuit of everything, they end up with nothing. She said, I don't know why sometimes people frown upon like traditional gender roles and stuff, like even if you have a stay-at-home husband, because she's like how I want to frame this the way that she said it, because it's like, it was so good, because this even harkens back to like the fact that she said a lot of like really woke feminists end up becoming really miserable at the end. And I remember one thing I wanted to say before I go on to this. She's a very like statistic and reasonable and reason and logic person. So like, she has no use for emotion. She's almost like a robot in that sense, right? She asked me this question. She's like, what do you look for in a girl? And I'm like, I really, at this point, I don't even know what to tell you. I just like me back, right? We'll see what happens. And she's like, when you ask this question to anybody, do you usually get like a bunch of stuff? I'm like, yeah. Some of my guy friends have a long list. Some of my girlfriends have like a long list of things like that, whatever. And she's like, okay, have you ever heard someone say like, oh, they gotta be like this tall? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that already eliminates 80% of the population. I'm like, huh? Like 80% gone. How about this much money? That's the 1 percentile. 86%. Like, she did that. So like, you have a pool of 6.1% to choose from. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy. Like, she was breaking it down like that, and I was like, okay. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just learning, dude. But
yeah, no, that's something that people have had a conversation for. Like I said, if you're saying that you need a person who makes $100,000 a year, you've already eliminated almost everybody that you're gonna meet. How are you going to meet a person who makes $100,000 without connections or working at a company that does that? Like just think about that. And also, when you really think about it, people have this perception that they have perception or ideal of things that contradict each other, right? So if you're somebody who makes $100,000 a year, you have to work a lot, right? Most of the time, you're probably not going to be at home, because how are you going to make the money sitting at home making $100,000 a year? So they want a person who makes $100,000 a year, but also stays home, goes on dates with them, do this, that, and the other. That don't work like that. You can't. It's very hard to be a super family-oriented person or be just a very like romantic person in a way, while also being somebody who makes a lot of money, because you're not going to be around as much. So if you're somebody who values your significant other or lover being around, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of money or make your own money. Also, you have to look at it like this. If you're a person who wants your significant other to make $100,000, first of all, you're not the only one who wants that. Number two, that if I would make $100,000 an hour, that's my money. So why would I want to be with a person who I don't feel like is providing me with anything that I don't have when I'm making that much money. I'm making 6K. What are you bringing to the table that eventually will not be replaced by somebody else? And that's the problem. If you're a girl who don't have your own business, your own hobbies, your own things, and you're completely depending on your other, and it's for men too. It's not even just for women. But we were just talking about women, so that's why I'm using this. And if he seems to be with you for your looks or whatever, eventually at some point he's gonna cheat on you. He's gonna go look for somebody else because he was with you for a physical thing. And if you're not putting out, or if you just like he's not attracted to you no more, of course they're gonna go get a mistress or something. And that's the problem. People look at that stuff instead of just liking people who like them or trying to balance, or compromise and try to, go into new things and stuff like that. They have this checklist and stuff like that. But if you're dating somebody for economic reasons, you can't expect them to always forever be with you. Personally, that's what I think. If you're being with somebody for economic, financial reasons, that's probably not going to end well.
No, that's
just me.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. And then I'm gonna speak about a term that I learned too. Oh, wait, did I finish my thought process on this? I don't even know if I remember if I finished it. Oh, the compromise thing. Let me speak about that real quick, right? Actually, no, this ties into what I was about to say. Let me read the chat real quick. Hey, what's up, Jay? You fucking ape. Yo, read them comics. My thing is, if you expect that 6-figure, how and when will they fall for you? My last 2 serious relationships were with men who were more well off than me, but not to that extreme because Vince has been. I want to spend time with them. It defeats the purpose. Agree with that. Belongs to the streets. When I understood the negative stigma around settling, because more than often people's preferences might not always be realistic or attainable. As long as you don't settle on things that really matters to conversation. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, but I think some of that stuff is just the way that society and marketing has been for certain things, where sometimes people frown upon like just building a regular ass family, right? So times are changing. But she was speaking about the fact that people do not compromise, but she said that she found that it's higher in her experience that like of people she spoke to with women. And there's something called I think it's Briefault's law, right? And it's and I wish I remember the like how exactly she explained it, but it's like the female, not the dude, determines all the conditions of the animal family, where the girl doesn't, like, if she gets no benefit from the association with the male, the association won't even take place. And I thought that was interesting. And she said because of that, they're so much less willing to compromise. And that's when she talked about all these shows and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, this woman just refuses to cook, not because she doesn't necessarily want to, she just doesn't like the fact that it's associated with a thing role, where she's like, I think cooking is just like a natural skill most people should have. But you frown upon it solely due to the fact that you think that it's like bad to kind of cater to your significant other and stuff. And she just started diving into all these really interesting things, and I just
okay, so
I learned a lot.
All right, so this element, this is my bag right here. So all right, so first of all, number one, I could speak on this earlier because I was letting you get it all out because I didn't want to interrupt. Letting you get it all out. All right, so number one, I think it's really interesting that you're speaking to someone. No, this is not misogyny. I hate when people try to confuse it. This is like realism. This is logic. This is just balance.
He's trolling. Ignore him.
I know, but I'm just saying. But just for anybody who watching this, I just have to speak on it. But anyway, so what I think it was interesting that you were speaking to somebody with a right, conservative, more conservative, balanced mindset.
Yeah, you know me. That doesn't bother me.
Politically, I
don't hate.
Yeah, but it's just like we come to the point politically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we come to the point politically where we don't even think that's like a possibility most times, and to some degree I understand why. So I want to speak on that. It's really interesting. And here's the thing, right? At least to me, I don't think there's nothing wrong with wanting more, with wanting better. The problem is when you only want to marry, or you only want the other person to have that is the biggest problem with entitlement. You think you deserve these things, but you don't want to present yourself or put yourself in a position where you can attain those things. Because, like I was speaking on the earlier point, how are you going to even meet someone who makes 100K? How do you even if you got that right? And this is a relationship. Let's say you got all those things that you asked for, all those the criteria that you asked for, and you're happy. It doesn't matter if the other person is not happy. You're looking at the relationship completely one-sidedly. You got everything that you asked for. They're catering to you and your entire being. But if they're not happy, what's the fucking point? A relationship depends on two people, and you both need to be gaining something out of it. So even doing that is wrong. Like, would I like a woman to cook for me? Of course, because I can't cook. I'm fucking ass at fucking cooking.
I don't
But
even
if I
mind
want a
cooking.
woman to cook, gotcha. But it's like if I want a woman to cook for me, then I feel like, at least for me, in my viewpoint, okay, it's like, all right, I can't cook. I know I can't fucking cook. So maybe I need to be able to balance that out with something else. What does she not look like doing? She don't like cleaning the bathroom? I got no fucking problem cleaning the bathroom. I clean fucking dog shit and piss for fucking almost a year. So I don't got no problem cleaning the fucking bathroom. So it's like, all right, you cook, I clean the bathroom. It's shit like that. But people don't want to do that. They want everything on their checklist without thinking about the other person at all. And then they're uncompromising about it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of women, and it's even some men, that the moment that person does something they don't want, they're like, "Nah, you're out of here. You're gone." And it's just like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you're gonna just completely forget all the work and all the positives and shit like that? Like, I'm not saying you gotta sit there and put up with abuse or anything like that, of course. But it's just like, if you're talking to somebody and everything they do is mostly good, and there's like one or two things that's not a super red flag that you don't like, why are you throwing away the entire person? Doesn't make any sense to me.
And Bara and Mikey were having a good conversation because actually they reminded me of something that she said too, where she was like how if you most women will absolutely not marry somebody who's making less money than them, right? Which means if you have a family, both parents are not around because they're too busy working. And she finds that a lot of successful business women, their kids are troubled because they're never around. Because both parents are working, whether it's a female with like a whatever mother or something like that. Like she finds that like nobody wants to be a stay-at-home whatever. And I said, listen, I have no problem staying at home. That's what has to be done, right?
That would be a godsend.
That would not bother me. But I guess it's one of those things too where she's like how people are so actually afraid of how they're being perceived. She asked me if I would date somebody who's taller than a woman that's taller than me, and I'm like, you couldn't be 6'10". If I like you, that's not stopping me. Snoo. I'm climbing, dog. Right?
Yep.
Don't care.
Yep.
And then she was speaking about like the opposite of that and how it doesn't almost like work that way. She should let me be. Listen, you come home, the house is sparkling, dinner is ready. I'm in that naked apron. I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, you know. But,
we're allowed minority, but everything you're saying for the most part is correct. But yes, we're allowed minority when it comes to
house pet. Oh my god! But it was just interesting because like, yeah, I gotta be stopped.
yeah, he crazy. He got to stop.
But yeah, it just I don't know. Fuck, what was I saying? I don't remember what I was saying.
You were talking about more about her being like most people are kind of the other way of thinking.
Okay, yeah.
Them caring being perceived.
Yeah, right. So it's like she's like, remember I spoke about a little bit about the cattiness of women. She's like they're very, very judgmental and competitive for the most part, even in their close friends group. And if she's like if I was tall and I dated someone shorter than me, my girlfriends would look at me crazy, like he's short. And then they feel like a second-hand embarrassment, and then that starts to leak into their relationship and cause problems because they want the guy or the partner they got to be well received amongst their peers perfectly, right? And I thought that.
Yeah, women at a large majority, without being negative about it, they've always kind of, because the way society works is that you look at these magazines or you're always comparing yourself to someone else. And so you wanna meet that standards where not only that you want to do that, but you want to make other people like jealous of the life that you're living, even if it's just appearance wise.
Mm-hmm. And then I guess I'll say one more thing and I'll transition to the last thing I kind of wanted to say. Naked apron got the I actually do have like an apron, so it's not I have an apron, so. But my friends don't like my choice in the physical looks of a man. Let me draw my creature feature, please. I'm with him. Oh, creature feature. What that mean? What's going on? Facts. All I need to do is cook and clean, provide some good D. That looks like the life. I know. I would get if I literally just did that. I know I couldn't do it for long, but I had, but like if someone's like what do you do, and I'm like I stay at home and I take care of the kids and take care of the house. When my wife makes the bread, I'm not ashamed of that. But again, I'm not like I know I'm not like most people. Like Twitter, like like unknowns on Twitter, like I can tell you guys that's not real to me. It doesn't matter to me. But all right, let me talk about the let me look at the thing right here. I spoke about the compromising. No one likes to compromise, but women are especially apparently bad at it. Spoke about the voice thing. Oh, the radicalization of propaganda and agendas is something that she's vehemently against. Obviously, she's right leaning, so she can't stand performative, demonstrative nonsense. Like she absolutely does not understand. She actually said this. There was like sometimes when I hear about like feminism now, it's like it's equity more than there's equality. Where it's like you just don't want to pay for a tampon. That's it. You don't want to pay for it. You just want a free. You want to shop for free and blah blah blah. I'm like, yo, she's so harsh on them. But it's just like it's crazy. But let's talk about the part where she made fun of niggas. So, now we're speaking kind of about Z and Gen X for the most part, and the simp mentality and things of that nature, and how a lot of men have kind of lost their way and don't know how to act, because, like she said, the perception of other people scares a lot of dudes. So obviously now with the way that Me Too has come along and stuff, some guys are just afraid to generally make any type of move, because they just don't want to be seen as some type of predator or something, anything of the sort. But
we've spoken on that a lot actually.
And she said that a lot of men have become so weak-willed because of the way that like fourth wave feminism, whatever, has perpetuated, and then she started bashing the left. I'm like I don't like, you can bash them all you want, I don't care, right? Start bashing the left and how radical they can be and how dangerous some of their ideas are and stuff, because she spoke about like a campaign a couple years ago, apparently something like Strong Babies or Strong something, where they just had like a bunch of like kids like saying like really strong feminist talking points, and it's like she's like, that's child abuse. I was like, wait, why? And then she's like, you are imprinting your very own traumas and propaganda onto a child because you think it'll be a message that's better well received because a child is saying it. This child does not understand what they're saying, and they're going to grow up believing and going with that rhetoric and stuff. And I was like, oh my god, because she's talking about how she can't stand how people are raising kids, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But real quick, go ahead.
I mean, isn't that a stupid fucking statement? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real here, though. A lot of fucking people use. I mean, swear. I don't know if it's a thing about swearing, but a lot of people use babies. Fucking religion, Christianity. People are like, you can't tell. It's a thing in all things. Like, it's not just feminism. So I don't know what kind of statement that is.
It's the right. Like I said,
no, it wasn't even necessarily that. It's because we were actually talking about like that. We came to that topic. Whatever.
I mean, yeah, I guess I know it like thing, but I just like everybody uses them like Christianity. Like I mean, I'm doing Christianity, but I mean a lot of religions do it, or like what your values is it like you're just telling what kids to show. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like I can't really. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a thing statement. But you guys can go.
Sorry, let me travel quick facts. What I need to do. Oh yeah, I read that already. It's definitely a thing because multiple women I know refuse to date men who aren't significantly taller than them. I'd be an extra good. Wait, Anaya, you'd be extra good because you could just make content. Actually, oh wait, you're right. I can stay at home. I give that little nigga some chloroform. Wait, what? I'm joking. And then if we get the child some chloroform, sleep, make some content. They always pick up men I look too good for. Say I pick up men that makes they're nice to me. I mean, yeah, what you care about, what you value, is what you value. People be lying on Twitter when talking about preferences is insane. Unprovoked too. Yeah, unprovoked lying is what kills me the most for brownie points. Most people on Twitter act like they don't give a fuck, but they care the most. So I was like, she lost her man to a e-girl. Absolutely. My thing is men who aren't weird, that don't get that rep too, have been hit on in appropriate ways by people who shouldn't be doing that, vice versa, so forth. Come to women and be like, yeah, I maybe I framed it wrong, I guess, but yeah, again, she's right leaning. So there was things that she said that I didn't agree with, where I was like, I could see why you would say that, but I don't see eye to eye on you on this, whatever, because we must have agreed on at least like 6 to 10 things. So I was like, no, I don't agree with that. But she was. But I can't speak about raising kids. I don't have any fucking kids, so I don't know. Like that's just something I'm like, I don't know. You have two, right? So I can't, maybe you know something I don't know, so I can't really get there. But
I'll speak on it. Fuck it. I don't care if I don't got any. I'll speak on that shit. I don't give a shit.
You know me. If I don't feel qualified, I usually tend to shut up. That's just how I've always been. But with the back to the men thing that she was saying, that basically that we've become as a, for the most part. And by the way, I'm so sorry because I don't think I mentioned this earlier. This has to do mostly with Western society. So like Japan and stuff, that's different. We're talking mostly like North America. You know, like
I kind of got that because
yeah.
I don't think like third world country women can be entitled in any way. Because
yeah, I got you though. So yeah, just to like make that a thing. But we aren't dirty weebs. We know. All right, you got it. But she was like how we become weak-willed because we're so afraid of bad perception of stuff that guys have somewhat been afraid to be themselves. Because she's like, I promise you that most of the ones who have found like love or whatever by the age of 30 and stuff, they're more traditional men. And they just kind of found someone who was okay with that and kind of moved on with it. But she kind of like doesn't like that people frown upon some of the traditional roles and stuff. I think I like for the most part kind of said all the things that I wanted to say. But and everything I learned. There's one more thing that I learned that she said, and I'm trying to remember when she was speaking about the percentages thing, but I cannot for the life of me remember it. It has something to do with the was it Sturgeon's law? The 90% good, 10%, no, not 10%, no, 90% bad and 10% good, where like 90% everything is shit for the most part. Because she was kind of just saying that people follow that when they like say something ridiculous, from like you just eliminated half the population. Now you eliminated this one and stuff like that. I don't know. Anyways, enough talking to guys to death about all that, but it was interesting. I learned a lot today.
Nope. And we can keep talking about it. Because listen, man, when you listen to one person, and she brought up some points, but there's things you gotta be able to push back on. Like you said, you didn't agree with what she said, but just like sometimes listen to this stuff because it's coming from her mindset. The reason though why I usually, anytime somebody starts talking about a generational topic, I usually shut down on them. It's because they act like the previous generation, one, didn't have problems, two, didn't lead to this complete opposite of mindset. So while some of the problems of saying about our generation and generation after us are fair, it is because it is an overcorrection of the fucking problems with the baby boomers and the generation of our parents. That is the problem. We are sitting there looking at people that had these patriarchal fucking mindsets that just like women need to do this, this, and this, and this. And then we also haven't just like, we got guys who done stuff that could be seen as predatory or otherwise and stuff like that. And now people are having the courage and the will to talk about those things, but we're also overcorrecting in a standpoint because now it's becoming, instead of just like, we need to teach our generations to do better and have honest conversation with them. Now it's turning into hate men. Like nothing a man can do is good. They're all fucking terrible pieces of shit. They're all predatory. They are the R word and stuff like that. It's like the girl who mentioned me who brought up the R word.
That's what she was talking about, like, the fourth wave feminism thing, because she's seen it in all kinds of ways and whatnot, and she's like, this is the worst she said she's seen.
But like how all of us talk about, because I think we're all pretty level-headed dude, is that you have to be able to realize that people on Twitter are loud minority.
Yeah, it's not real.
And that Yeah, it's just that you just have to, if you have a kid or if you're dealing with a homie or something like that, you have to be able to look at them and be able to tell them, like, look, listen, you need to be careful with this, and this, but this, and this, it's like, that's fine. You got to find your own way. Like, you got to be able to do that. Like on the dating stuff. With men, my thing, I always tell men when it comes to dating, you just need to go out there and fail. Like, I'll tell you, like, okay, like, you tell your homies this is perceived as creepy. If you keep staring at a girl and like she obviously tried to shut you down, even if she's lying to you, even if you know she's lying to you, she's like, oh, I have a boyfriend, this, that, and the other, you know it's a lie, that's fine. Leave her alone. Go away. It don't matter if she want, if you don't, if she's the type of girl that's like, oh, like, he just gave up and stuff like that, that's fine. Give up. There's nothing wrong with giving up, because that's better to do that than to put yourself in a situation where you're gonna be in trouble. I don't have to be out there running around because she wanted to be like, oh, he didn't fight enough for me. Listen, I'm not gonna do that if I don't know what's going on. You gotta be able to protect yourself. Protecting yourself come first.
Oh, that was the main reasoning. Oh, that's it. Oh, by the way, you're bringing up a good point about honest dialogue, where it's like the fact that a lot of our younger people and us, we're so fixated on agendas and propaganda that there's never any honest dialogue, and it makes it hard for people to operate. Because she said something like, a woman would be like, oh, I need a guy because it makes you feel safe, and it's like that's not the reason why you want a guy to be tall. You just want because that's what's seen as more desirable and stuff. But read the chat real quick, and then send me, I want some of your words on it. You ain't say nothing in a while. Mara said something up here. Let me scroll up a little bit on my phone about something. There's a lot of good tradition in my opinion, and I feel like forced roles. I lost it. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I got you. Force roles, like, yeah, like I don't care about, like, oh, can you, like, go fucking put the wheel on the car? Okay, that's fine, like, it's not a big deal to me, I'll do it. But do I want a traditional relationship? I want a real relationship. I don't really care if it's traditional. I have no problem with, like, I mean, I never dealt well with entitlement, so, like, I don't do so like, but I don't even get into that. So, like, I don't talk to anybody who's entitled. Like, if I see those signs pretty early. In my life, in my expectation, like, I'd be like, oh yeah, you're entitled for no reason, or you think because you look really good, I should just drop on the floor and give you everything. I don't even have much to give, so I can't give you nothing anyway, so it don't really matter. But yeah, I don't care if it's traditional. I really care if it's real, authentic, and become something special. That's more important to me than that. Toxic is toxic. Twitter isn't real. It's not real, not at all. Twitter is fake. I'm being abused by seventh wave feminism. He went to the future. But back to what Barra was speaking on a little bit earlier. I think it's a little bit interesting in terms of, like, it ties back into what she said about, like, perception of your partner being an indication of you and your taste and whatnot. You could do better than this, whatever. Like, you're with the person. I am. It's not up to you to make that decision, right? Because I've never not liked athletic women. Always been my preference. If you're like, okay, she's gonna be more chubby or regular or in shape with muscle, I'll take the muscle because I like to work out. I like to run. I like to compete. I like to play sports. And I'm not trying to hear you huffing and wheezing if you go up a flight of steps. I just don't. That doesn't do anything for me. So if you're the better shape you're in, the more attracted that I likely am going to be to you. But that's something that my friends frown upon. So they'll look at me crazy like, bro, you don't see your arms? But nigga, you see my arms? We both ripped. What's up? So that's so, like, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, one of the most important takeaways that I took from that is don't project, don't be entitled, and you really have to, like, don't misrepresent yourself. Be authentic. If someone's not gonna like you, let them not like you for you being the truest version of yourself. Don't cater. Don't blah 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 yada yada yada. But now, if you actually build something into a relationship, understand that a relationship is usually compromised, right? So what? Okay, maybe I don't want to drive 6 hours to your place. What if you drive 3 hours? I drive 3 hours, and we meet in the middle. Like, it could be that simple. And she's basically saying that people can't even do that. Where I'm like,
You as a male, I only speak on a male perspective. It sucks for us because it feels like we're kind of forced by society to kind of cater the other way, and if we don't do that, then something is wrong with us, and it puts us in a very hard position because it doesn't ever feel like we can fucking, have our own set of preferences, rules, stuff that we want. If you do that, something's wrong with us. We're controlling this, that, and the other. It is tough for the male in that regard, and people just try to play it off as that it's nothing. And I hate that we do that on the loud minority on fucking Twitter, that males are not allowed to have things that they want, but the opposite gender is just allowed to say whatever they want with no pushback. I think that's very wrong.
but that's what she was saying. She basically she's saying it's part of the problem is our fault for letting this happen. She said we should have never let ourselves become that weak-willed. Because she even spoke about some OnlyFans stuff and things like that too and everything.
I mean,
obviously,
on
anyone can have OnlyFans, men and women, and you don't have to be shaking ass on OnlyFans. You could be cooking or building some cool shit. You could be restoring shit on OnlyFans for all I know.
I guess this is kind of my cynicism. This is kind of my cynicism kind of driving in. But to me, even though she's saying that, the reality is much different. Like I said, like I keep repeating myself, Twitter and all that stuff is a loud minority. So a lot of guys just say stuff to get fucking brownie points, as you, me, and Simi have talked about before. Niggas be on that app fucking lying to just get on the side of women because nobody does that stuff in real life. Or nobody, or even a lot of stuff that some women say that they want, that stuff don't get applied to in real life. All that talk and all that chatter, when it comes to real life, none of that becomes present. Because at the end of the day, it's all gonna fold. If they think the person is attractive enough, all that other shit they were talking about is gone. And to me, that's the only thing that matters. You gotta sometimes let the ball be in their court, because if a person likes you enough, they'll compromise all that shit for the most part. It's kind of rare for a person who actually really likes somebody to not kind of bend back on that stuff that all that other shit they were saying. That normally applies to people they don't like, or people they're kind of meh on. People they actually like, or they liked first, or fell in love with first, all the rules are completely different. It's not the same.
They say praying I get Gal Gadot so I can be the GOAT house husband life. You know what I'm saying? I need Kelsey, right? Oh, fuck. I've always had respect for everyone here because that's how I am. But this convo is definitely leveling it up. Hey, yo, folding origami OnlyFans? Yeah, what's up? Subscribe. I'll throw you the bag. I can come here and not hate any women because they are 12-year-old childish. For real, here listening to men talk about women's flaws sometimes. I that's why I kind of made like the disclaimer at first, but I'm like, I'm with these guys. These guys they're not like mad and immature and shit. Anything. We're not gonna be here like, oh, bitches do this, oh, yo,
not at all. I love women.
Like it's not. I don't know. I'm 28. I'm basically 30. There's no reason for me to be talking about women like that, anyways, at my big ass age. Like, there's just no need. So.
If we're not dating and we didn't commit to a rule set, I don't really care, to be honest. But that's the way I look at stuff.
But also, I would say that, well, I'll speak for myself. Sorry, I didn't grow up like socially awkward. I know for some like people, you know, they were like into anime and they were seen as weird for a long time, and then maybe you glow up, maybe become a content creator that's pretty well known and stuff, and now you don't really know how to navigate that scene because you haven't really been through it. I've been doing this stuff from a young age. Like I'm not like fiending, I'm not thirsty or anything like that. So like I don't like to put myself in that like perspective because it's like I'm a little different. Like I'm not looking for nothing. I'm just vibing. I'm just out here living my best life, being the best version of Nia Hemmings. Which isn't good yet, but it's gonna be great. So I just be chilling. It is what it is. 30. So. Oh, that's dinosaur. Good thing. Yeah, man. I'm
30-year-old.
I've been 30 since I was 26. Though I always rounded up. so that's how I am. But I'm at 38. Listen, I'm peaking in my 30s. I know at 36 I'm gonna peak. So I've already decided. 36 is when I peak, and it's only downhill from there. So. But
that's only until then.
Yeah, until then, I gotta, you know what I'm saying? I'm 26 and I feel old already. I think I started feeling old at 20. At 20. I'm like, there's no teen in my number. Yeah, I'm an adult now. That was it. That I was old. I don't care. I know. Oh, that totally reminded me of something I forgot to speak about because she brought this nigga up, and I don't remember his name. Do you guys know that I've been seeing him on Twitter a lot more. It's like a black dude, and he talks to dudes and women about
Kevin
shit.
Samuel.
Yes. She loves him. She loves him.
Yeah,
She loves him.
She sounds just like him.
She loves
who?
that dude. She gives
No
all of
surprise
these.
there.
She gives all of these entitled
Yeah.
people a fucking reality check, and I'm like,
Wait, who?
Kevin Samuel.
Kevin Samuel. Okay.
do you ever see a video of some dude where he's like, I guess he was complaining about women. He's like, how tall are you? How much do you weigh? You got a big dick? How much money you make? And basically, this guy was just he wasn't shit. And he's like, but you want a girl to do this, be that, this and the third. Look at you. And I was like, damn. I'm like, first of all, you hurt my feelings watching this, and none of this applied to me. I feel bad for the guy. Shit, like why'd you go in on him like that? But she was she seems to be a pretty big fan of that guy because of whatever. So yeah, Kevin Samuels, yeah, that's his name. But I do think he's a little harsh from what I've seen. I don't watch his work, so I don't know. I don't even know if he does. But she said that.
No, he is. He is.
Mhm.
He's definitely harsh.
But yeah, see, I'm with you, Bar. Like I wouldn't endorse him as a person, but I see the value in what he's doing. I guess you could say, or it makes sense, or whatever.
The problem is the way he's doing it and the content that blows up from it.
And it
Because
kind
it
of
comes off
it perpetuates some misogyny because some niggas are gonna run with that the wrong way.
You're right. It comes off very incel-ish.
They're gonna interpret that completely not the way it's supposed to be, and then we just got more stupid ass people on Twitter spouting nonsense rhetoric. So I get it. He be bodying people. He really does. Oh yeah. Yeah, you're right. Like I need to end the stream like pretty soon. So, but good night. Yeah, delivery is wild, but what was she saying about something that he was trying to? She was literally just trying to give someone some advice about finances, and because of the radical fourth wave feminism, she couldn't even take advice because she has an OnlyFans, and she's whatever business, but like a common mistake that a lot of young people who make a lot of money make, like even I know this, is they want extravagant things and start to up their lifestyle without the steady flow of income and without actually investing back into themselves and what they're doing for at least a steady year or two. And he was just trying to give this woman like, hey, if you just get a nice car, a nice bag, and nice clothes, and a nice house, blah, 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 yada, yada, you're not going to be able to maintain this because especially with stuff, anything in the entertainment industry, your time in the limelight for most people is pretty limited because there will always be a funnier dude or a sexier guy or girl or whatever that will come in the industry and become the next big thing. So while you are on top, you need to reinvest into yourself before you take that leap. I don't want to hear men talk about blah, blah, blah. And she went on that tirade. He's like, all right, you got it. And I was like, and she's like, that's the kind of shit she can't really take. And I was like, that's interesting. So I'm like, of course you would like that nigga. She started laughing. She's mixed. She was like mixed, by the way. She like black and white. But anywho, any final comments? Close the comments. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I just think I think there should just be a balance. First of all, like you said, I don't think nobody should be telling me, especially if you're not a male, what a male's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you have to figure out for yourself. And also, I don't think you should be like, obviously we all have you have male role models, stuff like that, but you gotta find out what works best for you. And people don't take that into account. You don't gotta be like everybody else. Me, I don't want that. I don't want a housewife. I want a partner. That's me though. I am not the conventional male, and I'm never gonna be. I'm never gonna be fucking Bob the Builder as a male. You're never gonna see me be able to.
We
fix
might
a whole
have
bunch
to
of
build
shit
this
like
bed together, baby. Get over it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not made for that. I'm sorry. I'm good with emotions, and being comforted and stuff like that. That's what I'm good at. Sorry, if you want something else other than that,
Facts,
find somebody
facts,
else.
yeah. When she said fourth wave feminism, like, what does that even mean? That sounds so fucking like,
Yeah.
it's like a fucking attack. Fourth wave of feminism. Like, what is that fucking stand?
And speaking on that, she seems like a kind of lady that's kind of like, unfortunately, kind of like a lot of people on Twitter. To be honest, they kind of like, they're going against the whole other wave. Like if they see a liberal, they're like, haha, it's time to slam dunk on the liberals.
I think there was a lot of credence to a lot of things that she said, but she definitely had a bit of a hate boner for the left. Totally. That wasn't lost on me. I didn't just take I didn't take everything she said at face value and immediately believe it. I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to share it. You know, this is one person's opinion who obviously has the credentials and education, but obviously she has a different mindset than maybe some other people. So.
Which actually made this really interesting.
That's why I enjoyed it so much. But you know me, I've never been afraid to talk about someone who vehemently disagrees with me or is politically I don't stay in a safe bubble. I love to hear the opposing side or what other people are saying because I'm like, this is how you come to get common ground. How am I gonna get common ground with someone I don't understand if I don't try to understand them? Does that make any sense? Oh, I'm in my safe bubble. You can't talk to me like that. Oh, that's toxic, and you go away. Like if I block them. How's that gonna help? How are we going to move the conversation forward if we don't have this? But 10th wave comics, that's kind of raw. So
fourth wave feminism,
catering to one side, the other will only create resentment later on when it dies down. I always said if you lean too far to any side of the political spectrum, you're probably being manipulated to some degree. You gotta find the middle ground. If Simi is far left leaning and I'm far right leaning, and we think. And we low-key agree on a topic, if we were on a political debate, even though we clearly agree, I would just argue with him because, I'm a Democrat and you're this and you're that. It's like, what? You agree on this. I'm watching you agree and you're being fucking babies. And you're both like 50. I hate it here. So it is. We talk about some race stuff too, but I don't want to get to it right now. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired, but it is
late. It is late for y'all.
It was good.
I'm here all day.
I learned a lot. I learned some new phrases and stuff, some new terms, which was good for me. I'm looking up some psychology books that I want to read on and stuff. And yeah, like my best lesson is, listen. I'm not telling anyone not to be confident. I'm basically saying don't be cocky, don't be overconfident, because especially if you don't really have any what if you really accomplish and what are you bringing to a table? Don't just be confident for confidence sake. Oh, she talked about body shaming. Another day. But yeah, be yourself, be authentic, go for what you want, and do your best. Don't pander, don't push agendas like that. You gotta be the realest version of yourself because at the end of the day, that's all you got. Imagine someone hating you for someone you're not even really, because you tried to cater to some side or something, or to a belief, or to a cause you didn't believe in. This is why I tell people, no, I do not support the BLM movement, or I'm not a feminist, because if you want to talk about the original definition of those two movements, I get down with that. I have no. Oh, okay. Actually, last thing. Okay, so when she was speaking about not equity but equality, and she said, basically, she's like, do you believe in the wage gap? I'm like, no, I know that's a myth, right? It's like, okay, good. So we can go to the conversation. She's like, when it comes to equality, she said most women are actually ready to have that conversation because of one main sticking point. Any societal benefit that they have, so in court of law, women usually get off. Women usually get less time. More male deaths in the more deaths in the workplace are male. Incarceration rate for the same crime is less for women. She's like, if we are really talking about equality, if you get 5 years for punching somebody, I should get 5 for punching somebody, not 2.5. But they can't have that conversation. I've tried to have it, and I was like, that's interesting. Because now if you're talking about equality, it's not just what can you get to kind of be equal with us. What do we get to be equal with you now? We usually lose every custody battle. And the more money we make, the more we have to pay, even if we're not even dealing with this person anymore for child support, and stuff like that. And she's like, that's not a conversation that a lot of women are mature enough or ready to have, especially the radical whatever wave feminists were on. So, anyways, another hour? Nah. I'm not the nigga now. Goodbye. That was got me.